Hey guys, welcome to the WeddingPros podcast. We have a special guest here today. But before we get into that, we kind of got in the middle of the season. It's kind of getting moving, right? What is your biggest tip for somebody to get into the groove at the beginning of a wedding season? Because I know for me, when we get started, I'm like, have I done this before? And you're kind of getting going, and you're just like, how would you encourage somebody who's getting started in the wedding season and they're just getting into that groove?
I would probably say get out there and do do some stylized shoots, or just get used. I don't know. Usually the first wedding, if I'm just hopping in cold turkey, I think I tend to forget how my camera works really quickly, and just being fast, because shooting weddings, you got to be pretty quick. So I would say just get out there and shoot, and as much I would like to say I'm just out there shooting all the time. It's not really the case, especially in the off season, where we're tending to lock down more systems work. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I think the thing I would say is everybody feels that way.
Yeah.
I think when you're just the first two weddings of the year, you're confidence is totally shot. Even if you did a good job, by the way. And then about halfway through, you've hit your peak of you feel confident and you're not tired. And then at the end, you're totally tired. So at the end of the season, we'll talk about how do we keep our energy and inspiration up. But I think everybody has that beginning of the season, oh, I feel like crap. You feel really good for two weddings in the very middle. And then you get burnt out.
I think usually when I'm the most burnt out, that's probably when I do the best work, actually, because it's okay, I'm a machine at this point. I know exactly what I want to get, and I'm looking for the moments, and I'm shooting a ton of weddings, but I'm just systematizing, my shooting process and really.
Once something's boring to you, you're probably good at it. So. Anyway, so today's special guest is somebody we've known a really long time. She's an amazing artist, a great photographer. But she's also great at a lot of other stuff. She's a boss, and it's Tiffany Vaughn.
Hi.
How
you guys are awesome. I feel like it's been a long journey. We've known each other.
We have known you for a long time. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, about what you do, and about your work.
Yeah, so we shoot, my husband and I, Brendan, we shoot weddings, New England and Boston. We're based in Boston, primarily do a lot of our work out of the city and surrounding areas. We do a little travel. I love film personally. I started shooting film a year and a half, and just fell in love with it, fell in love with the art of really creating this beautiful painterly image. So we've incorporated that into our workflow in our weddings, and we just love our clients. We love what we do. Just really enjoy the wedding industry, which is, it's crazy. It's a fast-paced, fast-moving industry, but I truly enjoy it because of the people I get to work with. So,
did you always enjoy the wedding industry?
To be honest, no. I started loving it when I started looking for the clients that I related with and who I wanted to genuinely work alongside, and that really shared the same vision as we did. So I think really fresh out of the gate, we tried to do that. So for the most part, yeah, we have really enjoyed the wedding industry. I think the initial concept in my head, that's what I didn't enjoy when I was trying to break into it and trying to find our own style and vision.
I do think it's interesting because you hear a lot of people whether you're a photographer or a videographer, oh, weddings are just not for me. Yeah. And they give up, and they want to go into commercial or just get into something completely different. And it's really not that it's the wedding industry. It's kind of the way that they're approaching their business, and they're just have had enough bad experiences, or they're not willing to go through that grind of just working your butt off until you can.
Well, what's funny to me is creatives often are super uncreative when they think about their own work.
Right.
They're thinking about I need to do something more creative, and I'm be creative then. Mm-hmm. Think about your work and be willing to create the thing that you want. Yeah. So just some background. If you're listening to this, Jared, Tiffany, and actually Brendan, all of us, we go way back.
Way back.
Yeah, so
way back.
Yeah, so way before any of us really had anything going on.
Yeah.
And we've been doing it a little longer than Tiffany, and I think like you guys worked at.
Yeah, Brandon and I worked at TGI Fridays together,
Yes.
bartending.
That's how you got
Which
to know.
is amazing.
That's how you got to know each other.
Before I got fired from TGI Fridays.
Yes.
Brandon was left alone.
So they used to work together, and I remember. So we were. It was like, oh, I remember Jared saying like, oh, this girl Tiffany, she does photos. Maybe she would want to work with us.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, okay. And I remember looking at your work.
Yeah.
And I was like, this girl is sick. I want this girl to work with us. And so we had her for a few things, and so this is when I knew you were going to be really successful. And I was like, this girl's going to be really, because I was like, a lot of people are talented. It's not that special to be talented. Like, there's a lot of talent. If you think that your talent is what sets you apart, and you're listening to this, you're wrong. There's a million people just as good as you. This is what will set you apart. We sat down at Panera, and you wanted certain things out of us, and I was like, no. And you were like, well, I'm not going to do that too. And I remember you just like saying something like, well, I have a unique vision. And I was like, well, basically, I don't care about your vision. I care about my vision. Right. And then you were like, that's cool. And I was like, that's cool. And at this point, we had like, we were doing okay. We were doing okay as a company, and it probably would have worked out in some way. Yeah. But I remember thinking like afterwards, like she just told me no, and I was like, she's gonna be successful.
I love it.
I was like, because like she had enough confidence, because she was good, and that's why I wanted you. I was like, oh, this girl's talented. I mean, I like to think I have a good eye for talent, and I was like, she's talented. She's going to be successful. I want her to be successful for me. And you were like, nope, I have a vision. I have a thing I want to do. I'm going to go do it. And there was no love lost. It was all good. Yeah. But it was like, that's what will make you successful. Right. And that's when I knew you were going to be successful, because I was like, this person had enough confidence to say no, and enough grit to say no. And just do what she wanted to do. Yeah. And I think that's kind of been what you've done all along.
Yeah,
right?
That vision has carried me even when I couldn't see the future, see where it was going. I knew what I wanted. So it's always carried me. Yes. And I think that's the core of my business and what I do and how I do it. And it's what makes me tick personally, because you can work. You can shoot all these amazing weddings, have all these amazing clients. But if you don't have a vision or an actual path you're going to walk down and say, this is my lane, I want to go down that, I don't know how that works. So that's always just been what's
and you
made
have
me
to
tick.
have the grit and the like tenacity to
actually go and do
it, you know? And it was like, I remember thinking like, okay, she's talented, kind of, so what? There's a lot of talented people. Right. But then, okay, she's an actual person who's going to follow her convictions and not be a jerk about it. Right. And it's like, a lot of people, I've worked with people who I'm like, hey, you want to do this thing? Same conversation. And I'm not going to apologize for that conversation. That's what's best for me. Absolutely. And so like, I'll say to them, hey, this is what I want to do. And they're like, cool, great. And then they come back to you and like 6 months later, they're like, and try to have the conversation you had, but 6 months later.
Yeah. I think a big part of running a business is having integrity and just being forthcoming with what you feel and how you want to do things. And if that doesn't work at the end of the day for a partnership or a collaboration, then that's fine.
Totally.
And it's all about creating relationships too. So it's not about ever burning bridges. It's about like actually having
clear
those people in your life and having clear expectations and still having friendships and,
But not
stuff.
everybody does what you did though.
Yeah.
What they do is they say yes and then they say no.
Right.
And I'm like,
but I've never wanted to, and this is my personal journey, but I've just always wanted to be very blunt with people, regardless of whether it's a client or a colleague. I think it's really important.
So authenticity is a big deal to you.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
So one of the things you got going that I think is a reflection of those values is this social kind of Instagram thing. For those that don't know, Tiffany has a personal account. She has probably, like a lot of you guys, personal account and a wedding account. Her personal account is 10,000 followers.
Yeah, we just hit 10K, which I'm excited about. Authentically, for real.
Tell them a little bit about the account and then maybe kind of how that kind of just grew and like what it is.
Yeah, my personal account I think is just a reflection of the things I love fashion, lifestyle, travel, just kind of what I do on a day-to-day
Tiffany
basis.
likes fancy stuff.
I do love nice things. I can't lie. And it's just a reflection of what I love. And I just started it, I think, organically. And then it just grew because I think that people like what I posted. But it's a great platform, I think, to share your life in a cool way.
So it's
know what I mean?
authentic.
Yeah, it's
and
like
it
people who
lets
actually
you-
care. And I care about them.
How has it helped you? Because you kind of just made, like, maybe not just, but over the years, you've been making concerted, gritty, intentional effort to move into a different part of the market than when you started. And how is this, having like this authentic platform helped you kind of move into that?
I think genuinely that people can see who I am and the way that I live my life with, I try to live my life with integrity and value and moral and have like a compass for what I want. I think that people can just see that through a personal page. Say, even a client hops on, they say, oh my gosh, this is Tiffany. Like, she's a real person. This is what the things she loves and the people she surrounds herself with. And I think that creates a really cool connection point, especially for the people that I do get to work with. And then, I mean, it's just I think it's a cool platform just to express yourself. And I think that just because I do weddings doesn't mean I can't have another outlet for, the things I love. And that's the cool part too.
I've always
kind of
said
an
with
outlet.
photographers, like, and we're jealous a little because we do video. It's way harder to do this, I think. I don't know, but the personality and the charisma is probably at a certain level. Like, when you want to get into a certain place in your career, like, who you are is almost as important as what you do, the work that you do. And like, one of the cool things about you is that's always been a part of like the package, maybe on purpose, maybe by accident, just naturally, but like branding yourself, communicating, the charisma, the personality is just as much part of if you're one of your clients, the experience, I think, as here's your photos. And I think that's one of the tips I would give. But if you're listening and you're looking at Tiffany Vaughn and you're like, oh, wow, she's so cool. It's like, it's not by accident. It's very intentional, but it is authentic.
Yeah.
And
Part of
it's-
parts, for sure.
It's all part of the package and the thing. And you can't just like post good work
Yeah.
and expect that to take you as far as bringing that all together.
Yeah, I've always wanted to be real with myself and real with my clients. So I don't want to put on a fake face and, do any of it. I wanted to just be real from the beginning. And I think that's why people connect and I connect with my clients, is because there's a level of just humanness and this is who I am. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know the things you like, the things you don't like, your story, what makes you you, because I think that makes for an authentic experience when someone's trusting me to photograph their wedding day and really putting all that in our hands and saying, we love what you do, show up, work your magic, and we trust you. We genuinely care. Sure. So that's, I think, a huge part of it. Yeah, cool. Absolutely.
So kind of hopping into the business side.
Yeah.
We run a different type of business where we have teams going out. You are very much opposite, on the scale where you are running your own business. You're really trying to curate, your clientele, which is just like, it's a different thing. And it's not something that really we have done much of, because for us, our whole idea is big funnel, where you are trying to really bring it down into like a smaller part of the funnel.
Yes.
It's weird. It's like we only work with photographers like her.
Yeah.
So it's weird. Like,
and you guys are my favorite people to work with.
But the total, it's like there's total different, but we end up at the same place, which is weird.
Yeah. And I think our idea is like, I want to reproduce me.
Yeah.
And I want to reproduce
Absolutely.
Jay and our team and just like the values that we have. And I think that's the harder part.
It's clear. You can see it too.
But when you're trying to really curate your client, I guess, what are some ways that you are doing that? Like, say someone reaches out to you and they're like, oh, we're getting married.
That's a good question.
At this place or that place. What are some things, what are some filters for you, I guess?
Initially, just responding really quick to the email. I think people really appreciate that when you're just on time, you get the email in your box, you're responding back. And I just start with, how are you doing? Tell me more about your day. Tell me more about your vision, your story. Let's meet over coffee. I think meeting in person is a huge part.
How do you filter out those people though? Like,
What are some of you don't meet every person,
Yeah.
or do you?
So honestly, I think, and I'm convicted of this, the people that want to work with me, they really want to work with me.
Yeah.
And when I get those inquiries, it's like, hey Tiffany, we love your work. We love your style. You're our first choice for our wedding day. We would love if you could photograph our wedding. And more times than not, people I think are already set on that when they're inquiring. And so I just go with hey, I would love to meet over coffee with you because I really genuinely enjoy it. And I enjoy getting to know people. And I think that's why my client base is so, like, we're close, and we know things like about our stories and their life path and their journey. It's because I take the time to actually sit down and talk to them.
So you're not really, you haven't found a huge need. You think that you're to like be like, no, you're not the client for me.
No, because I think naturally and I think this with anything in life, what you put out there, you get.
You attract what you are.
Yeah, so everything that I post on my wedding Instagram, Tiffany Von Wed, I'm constantly trying to curate it so it's attracting that client who looks at it and says, need that, want that, gotta contact Tiffany.
Well, that's really interesting because we actually kind of have the same exact approach at that point because we want some slightly different things, but at the end of the day,
that's true, actually.
We put out, like, our website, we put our pricing on there. Because I don't want a bunch of phone calls from people who can't afford it or don't really want it. Right. We put a lot of our work out there so you know exactly. And I feel like we get the same conversation. I love your work, really like your work. And it's really about, like, we probably get a little more that we have to filter through. But in general, like, I think the message, if you're listening to this, that no matter what you're trying to do with your business, it's all about communicating very clearly and authentically.
Setting expectations.
At the very front end. Before they even hit that send button on your form, before they even do that, what that person, like exactly what you said, oh, I see your work, I love your work, I want your work.
They kind of feel like they already know you. And that's why I try to set up my socials in that way, because I want them to go to our website and say, oh, that's Brendan, that's Tiffany, this is what they love, this is the style they love. I want my clients to feel like they could really fit into that mold because it's specific, but I think it's special for whoever, really loves it.
What would you say, sorry.
But so what would be, for you, what would be the difference between what you were doing like 4 years ago when you might have not have been getting the kind of, not saying you weren't getting the clients that you wanted,
sure,
but you weren't at the pinnacle of, the client that you were trying to get kind of thing.
Yeah,
what would be the difference between then and now? Would it be just you price yourself out of that kind of market?
I think intentionality. I think just really being intentional with the way I communicate with people and setting expectations of this is who I am.
More in the consult.
This is what we do. And, pricing, I think, does have a lot to do with it because, and it's not a bad thing, whatever your budget is. It can be, X to Z. Doesn't matter, or A to Z. But I think that budget definitely does have a large part in what you can afford for your wedding day. And, I think that that's also been a factor. But I think more so just the communication and being intentional about what I want. Because I think so often as vendors, it can be like vendor checked off the list, okay, show up to the wedding day, get paid, we're done, finish the photos. But I never wanted it to be like that. Yeah. Like I always wanted it to have some sort of more value than just a vendor checked off the list.
What would you say
important to me? What
would you say to people who, because I hear this a lot, like, curate your clients and how do I know when to fire a client? And this is this, it's almost like an adversarial relationship with inquiries. Yeah. Like, I only want this person. I don't hear that from you at all.
No, because I
hear
feel
like you're putting out what you want and that's attracting what you want.
Yeah, and normally if I respond back in my normal, just normal bubbly way, and it's just me at the core of who I am, I feel like the people who are not right for me, like the right fit, it just kind of filters itself out. Because I feel like if you want what I'm putting out there, you want that. Yeah. But if it's not exactly what you're looking for, I'm sure they know it, and I'm sure it just kind of naturally works like that. But it's cool. It's really cool to see the people who who are wanting what I'm putting out there really grab a hold of that.
That's exactly how we
that.
describe it. It's like
Yeah.
when it comes to like curating your client and ideal clients, I'm like, the ideal client for you is the client that you can make ridiculously happy.
Yes,
That's
laid
the ideal
back,
client.
fun.
Yeah.
They love life. They love each other. Like they actually care about me. I care about them. That's the goal. I want them to be happy and I want them to be comfortable in front of the camera. But I also want them to know that I'm trying to carry a unique vision and that they're going to get this final product that I hope they just are so in love with.
So
I
if you're
feel.
listening to this and you're like, how do I get my unique client? How do I get my ideal client? It's really the same for us who have more of a volume model as it is for Tiffany. Both of us want the client we can make happy. That's the simple way to put it. Like, look at what you're putting out there, what you're creating, and put out, your branding, your marketing, your communication, who you are, so that when that person comes to you, even the price, whatever, like that they feel like, oh, everything about this was great. And that's my ideal client, the person who's going to be really, really, really happy. They're going to get it because I want advocates.
Yeah.
I want at the end of it for them to be like,
You want them to tell their friends and their
Yeah.
friends to tell their friends and their parents. It's like, it's special when you have that word of mouth referral.
You need it.
Because it means that you did something right.
and you made the world better because you made people happy.
Yes, yes.
Something I love about your journey, Tiffany, is that I've been able to like kind of see it
You
unfold
have,
like from the
absolutely.
beginning. Like Jay talked about, like the beginning when you first started working. Jay was like, "Oh, she just has so much talent." And I think we talked about this the last time we hung out. Was the first time I saw your work was at Mike's gas station in Grafton,
Yes!
Massachusetts. You had your cards there, and it was
Yeah.
like where you sift through them and you're
Yeah.
looking at different photos on each business card. And I got to Mike's, I was getting like an oil change or just getting gas or something. This is in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, who the heck is this super talented girl living in Grafton, Massachusetts, distributing business cards in the gas
That's the
station?
businesswoman in me.
That's the
So
business.
listen, if you don't know, Tiffany Vaughn was like at one point specialized in senior
Yes,
photos.
yep. Proud of it. I
Killed
started
it.
doing
Yes,
senior photography
yes.
when I started my career.
Yep.
And that was her thing, and it was like,
Same principle though. It was a boutique
Yes.
experience.
Oh, completely.
Very like personalized.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that was always at my core. I think that's
Yeah, well, I remember, and I remember meeting. I think I took 3 of your business cards, so I'd have 3 different examples or 3 different photos of them. And I probably shouldn't now because I was like, oh, those were probably expensive for her at that time. but you were like, and I remember meeting with you and
Yeah.
like talking, and then you shot my sister's wedding
Yep.
in 2013. I just remember talking to you about your website, and you're like. Yeah, my website, I've been working on it. This is like my 3rd revision, and like I'm just working on it, curating this website and making the experience really match who your client, what your clients wanted, and that has always been kind of a part of you. And so I've been able to see kind of the whole journey from beginning to end, and like, oh man, she's crushing it. I guess what would you recommend as far as like when, because you've done weddings, like we've done weddings, like at some venues, and we were talking about off air, like where the venue comes in and bursts into the bridal suite and is like, oh, before you guys walk down the aisle, you still owe us half the deposit.
We've seen the craziest
We've seen
stuff.
crazy stuff at like weird kind of not so luxurious venues in the past years ago. What would you say is the thing that's like, okay, now you should step out into the next step.
You're
Like,
ready for the next level.
Yeah, because you've gone from shooting seniors to, okay, now I'm going to shoot some weddings. Now I'm shooting weddings, and now from weddings to like this ultra luxury bride that you're trying to get into the door. What would you say is that progression? Because I think you always had kind of like this super luxurious kind of idea from the very beginning.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
But what would you say is a catalyst to take you to the next steps and really step out and take that next step?
I think, again, being so intentional about the product that we're producing. And over the past year, I've just been all about quality and not quantity. So I think film has helped me because it's reeled me back in, and each shot really counts. And I think curating that magical photograph that is really going to touch someone's soul. And I think just having that product that speaks for itself, because I want something that looks luxurious, that feels luxurious. Like you could go in a designer shop and grab a handbag. I want that experience for my clients when they look at their photos. So I think just continuing along that path of really creating something special and creating something different that maybe they don't see every day, or, it's just unique to myself and what I love. But yeah, just continuing to create relationships with clients that's genuine.
Sure.
I think that drives that's what drives a successful business for sure.
I think with luxury especially, which is a gross word.
Yeah.
But because it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's just luxury. We'll say everyone
it's a
says
bastardized word.
everyone just writes luxury on their
This
website.
luxury apartment complex, this luxury
Yeah,
store.
it doesn't mean anything. But I like to say exclusive.
Yeah.
I think this idea of exclusivity is all about service.
Yeah.
At the core of it,
it is about service.
If you go to people who want higher end experience aren't necessarily wanting better jeans or better shoes. Well, sometimes you might expect better quality, of course, but if you're think your work is good enough, you're I'm doing great work, why can't I break in? Yeah. It's probably something in the branding or the service that's falling short.
It's cultivating that authenticity with the people you're working with. I really do believe that, because if you're not putting any heart into it or really any effort, then where's the value? You know what I mean? You can have a great product, but if people don't like working with you, then where is the value?
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's what drives me is really just having that with my clients and being real with them.
But
at
also
the end of the
other
day.
vendors.
Yeah.
I believe you, and hopefully us, and many other people we work with, they're making not only that connection with their clients, they're making that connection with the people that they work with.
Yeah, and that is why having a team of vendors who you genuinely care about and love their work makes for a beautiful day, because you're really creating that connection as well with everybody else, not just the photographer, the videographer, but the florist, the designer, the wedding planner. It's special.
Yeah, it's honestly there's that kinship that develops.
Yeah. And within us too, as colleagues and as friends, it's cool to work with like-minded people who are working on projects that you love as well.
Totally.
I wanted to ask you, because you guys you guys work together, right? You and
we
Brendan.
do.
And so it's kind of, I want to say there's plenty of people out there that do it.
Yeah.
Husband and wife
Wife kind of pigback team. How did that kind of come about, I guess, and how hard was that
he a
process?
photographer before?
He wasn't a photographer.
No, I
at the start,
trained
right?
him.
Yeah.
He went through the Tiffany boot camp.
Okay. So, because I think there are a lot of people out there that are well, I want to get started. Sammy, my wife, did not know anything. The first time I gave her a camera, she was holding it by the lens, well, not even holding the grip on the camera, holding the lens
How do we do this?
And so I was okay, you can't be the wife of a photographer and hold a camera like that ever again.
Yeah.
Because you'll make me
we
look
need
bad.
to start with the basics.
What, have you never seen me hold a camera? What?
That's so funny.
But I had
love
no
it.
idea. And so it was I simply wanted to be around her.
Yeah.
And so I was okay, assist for me. Just hold my stuff, carry my gear. And she stopped because I don't think she liked me really telling her what to do throughout the whole day.
Well, it's a hard dynamic. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, working husband and wife.
Especially if they don't have any skill at camera, and also if they really don't have any interest in it. I've talked to plenty of people, with different level of skill, and their husband or wives have different level of skills. So, was that easy for you guys to break into, and why do you think it's worked for you guys?
Wow. Brendan, first of all, is just a very awesome person.
I think so too.
He's so supportive and encouraging, and I don't see myself doing it without him ever, because I truly believe at this point, I could send Brendan, he could shoot a whole wedding by himself, because he knows what he's doing. But it wasn't always like that. I think that we went through a lot of learning and growing, and hey, this is how you we're going to do things. But I think the biggest thing is he saw the culture that I wanted to create within my company.
And even though that's like 2 people, right?
Right. And he saw that, and I think it stuck with him. So I think that over the years, it's really grown on him, and he genuinely loves it too. He loves our clients. You know, when we have consultations, sometimes we'll have wine on the roof and have our clients over, and he's there chatting with them, and he loves it, you know? And I think that it's worked because we work well together, and we actually enjoy being with each other all the time. I know some people just don't like it, but we really thrive off of it.
Was it hard for him to learn the professional photographer aspect of it?
I think in the beginning, obviously challenging,
Sure.
but he's really, really good at what he does.
Yeah.
No, I'm
smart kid.
impressed.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed. And it's cool because he has another, when we show up, we're a husband-wife duo, and there's another lens, another point of view that's unique, you know, not only mine, but his. So I think that creates a really powerful, cohesive experience as well for our clients. But it was really fun just kind of going through that process, and he'll be the first to say I was tough on him.
Yeah.
I was really tough because anybody who knows me, I think even my clients know I'm a perfectionist and I like things done right the first time. I don't like to mess anything up. So I was really tough on him.
And he can take it.
Yeah.
He can take it.
He's a tough guy.
For me, I'm like, I was very nice to my wife. Yeah. We did it because I was like,
I go into boss. Well,
yes,
he's my equal, my partner, we own the business together, but I go into that just like professional mode when I'm working. So
I would never work with my wife.
Yeah. So I think he expects it because he just knows how I am.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
I was with an assistant the other day, and I was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Get out of my shot." And then I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad it's not my wife."
She would have kicked you in the car.
Obviously, be on the couch. So I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad I barely know this person."
That's funny.
Afterwards, I was like, "Sorry about that, but you were in my shot."
Yeah.
But like, we work with a lot of wedding creatives, and so we know like that working relationship is really important. Not just the day of for making the customers and the happy and making people have a good experience, but it is. But also, like, I think if you're running a business, right? I think vendor referrals, for us, they make about 30 to 40% of our work every year is from vendor referrals. Maybe more because we just don't know about it. But how do you, like, what kind of clients or vendors do you love working with? Like, what makes a Tiffany Vaughn vendor?
Vendors that share a very similar vision and a very similar style of work. I love that because you know the end product is going to be A, wonderful for your client, B, it's going to be great for your portfolio. And I think that that's really cool when you can have a portfolio piece, but also have something for your client that's so special. So I think vendors that are just on the same page and that carry the same integrity and charisma like we were talking about and value and just moral compass for their business. You know, I think it's important not only to work with people who are, talented at what they do, but also have that inner just drive for life and respect for other people.
Yeah, I think that's really big.
It's huge.
At the core of it is like this idea of like, we work with a lot of vendors, right, Jared? And like every wedding we come, or every weekend we get back, we had 4 weddings on Saturday. Yeah. And I think you worked with Spooner, right?
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark.
Yep.
And
last weekend.
and I worked with Abby Lorenz. And then there's a bunch of other people I worked with. Yeah. And like every once in a while you'll come back from a weekend and they'll be like, "Oh, I worked with this guy, he's amazing. I worked with this girl, she was amazing."
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how did it go with you? And I'll know the answer because I'll know the vendor. And then I'll be like, "How was it?" And the person will be like, "That was terrible."
I think it's one of the benefits of doing videography, and I'm sure photographers working with other videographers that they really like. But we get to work with such amazing photographers, and I feel like most of the time photographers don't even know each other, don't know of each other. They're just like, "Oh, I haven't heard of that."
Or they've never seen that other person work.
Yeah. Maybe they've seen them on like Instagram, but they haven't actually like had a conversation with them. Like we actually get to like work with them, get to meet with them, and like hang out.
I think photographers would be shocked how different other photographers approach a day, by the way.
Yeah.
I think I'd be shocked. But anyway, like...
I really admire all my colleagues, especially here in the city. I feel like there's such a great group of people that I get to surround myself with, and I'm inspired by their work, by their character, who they are. So I think that's really cool as well.
I think the thing that I want to get into really quick is just how do you make sure, we talk about this a lot with almost every vendor, because one of our goals is like helping, if you're listening to this and you're new to the industry, if I could like put one thing inside of you that would be a value of yours, it would be respecting and understanding how to best work with other people so that they feel supported and they feel like you're part of a positive part of their creative process. And so the thing I always push on is really, it's as simple as just communication. Being a good communicator. So you as a photographer, like, I'm sure that you've worked with people who don't communicate that well, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's
what are their names? And
name them all. List them.
Dox them. Exactly.
You probably don't even remember their names, to be honest.
I feel like, especially with what we do, you have to run a tight ship, but you also have to communicate. You have to, in a life principle, just show respect like you would want to be respected. And those are the types of people that I adore working with, because there's that mutual connection and respect that you can jive together. You can just have that great day, that great wedding day.
Especially like photo video. We work so closely together.
Yeah.
That just having somebody that you like it's helpful because we do photo video, so like we are on the same page with each other. Like we've communicated a ton in the past. I think that, like you said, Jay, it's a ton of communication. Yeah, it's key to the day. But also, like I tell our guys all the time, like if you haven't worked with a photographer, like send them an email so they know that you're not one of the videographers that is gonna like need elbow space and like, you know, be bumping the photographer as you guys are walking down the aisle.
Setting expectations,
like, look,
for sure.
Yeah, like I tell people, like during the processional, I want you to have the middle aisle. You do your thing. Like we're gonna be off to the sides as much as possible. If we need to get a certain shot, we might do this.
What's so great about you guys.
But you know, it's like this is how we like to work. We want, like me as the videographer, I always want the photographer to achieve their artistic vision. And how can I help with that? And at the same time, I'm gonna be like, well, these are the kind of shots that I'm looking for. And it, like you said, it's just communications.
The client wants they want a stress-free day, so that's part of it.
And that's our goal as vendors. We need to create that stress-free day.
You know what's interesting? I remember we were talking to Joe Ruggiero on the phone just about Florida stuff. He's a Florida photographer. And he's really good.
International photographer from Florida.
A fancy man. He's a fancy man.
Yeah.
And I remember we were just talking about like communications, and he was like, I've never had a videographer call me beforehand.
Yeah,
so
you guys
weird.
are the only ones.
Yeah.
That's so weird to me.
Well, I've had a few reach out over email, and it's been really nice.
Yeah.
It's been great because they'll introduce themselves and they'll say, can't wait to work with you. When you're done, could we have a few shots, you know, just to use? Absolutely. Yeah. That's fantastic. But it's more rare than not.
Yeah. It's so odd to me because, like, I know for a fact if a photographer doesn't like me, they will ice me out. Like, they will.
With you guys, how is it possible?
Well, it's because we're paranoid about it. Like, we don't let it happen.
Yeah.
Like, because we're so dependent on that relationship being good for our product to work.
Yes.
And I don't understand how anybody could approach it any other way. Like, that you're just thinking, like, they're not going to get out of my way to do, and they're not going to not do their job. I know that. And like, my client, if at the end of the thing, the photographer's a real wuss, and they let me and I was really rude, and I was dominating the whole day. And then the client's like, these photos suck. This isn't what I wanted. And then they say, "Oh, sorry, the videographer you hired was a total jerk and wouldn't get out of my way." Yeah. They're not gonna. The client's not gonna be like, "Well, that's exactly what I wanted."
Yeah, they're gonna be upset.
They're gonna be upset. So I don't understand why somebody wouldn't think like, I gotta like make sure this relationship is really good. And sometimes photographers are total jerks and divas. They'll never know that I think that. Yeah. Like. They won't call you back. They won't text you back. They won't email you back. They just ignore you. They're crappy to work with. Yeah. But more often than not, I find it makes a huge difference. Like, no matter how big of a deal a photographer is, I find like the bigger a deal, and if you're like starting out and you think being a diva is how you're gonna get out there, I've worked with really successful people and people that you're probably trying to emulate, and I can tell you they're probably nice.
Yeah.
Almost all of them are wicked
just
nice.
be kind.
Yep.
Kind people.
Be kind. It's easy. It's a life principle. Just do it. It's how you get far in life. It's how you get far in business.
We talk about that a lot on this podcast. It's like integrity is good business.
Yeah.
Like having good integrity and being a good person and a person who does what you say and treats people the right way
Yeah.
is way more important than doing good work.
Yeah. Because that lasts. And then people say, oh my gosh, I had such a great experience with Tiffany and Brendan, or vice versa with you guys. And they tell their friends, and it's like, then who doesn't want to work? Like, everybody wants to work together at the end of the day, because kindness is key to
I'm
everything.
not even sure the photographers who refer us really even have looked at our work sometimes. I don't know.
I think you guys just have such a great culture within your company, so I think that people are really drawn to that.
Yeah.
And they just say, wow, because you guys, or the people, who work with you, they show up and they're fabulous. They're kind, they're nice, they're accommodating. And that's why I like working with you guys, because there's just so much respect mutually. And that's what makes a great cohesive day, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
We were talking to Matt Celeste of Blue Flash, and we were talking just about like the biggest compliments that I get now isn't even necessarily like, oh man, that film was epic. Like we have people say that, and I'm like, oh yeah, great. Like,
Thank you.
thank you. The thing I take the most pride in is when people are like, dude, that guy Caleb is such a good dude. Like
So nice.
Josh Hull is
I
like
love all
the
these
man. Like, like I love just being around him. I want to know what he's doing in college and like, what his internship is about, and just like, that's the stuff that I take a lot and pride in.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
That's a direct reflection of who you guys are and the way that you do
Thank you.
things.
yeah.
Ultimately, one of the things I just want to like close with is just kind of, it seems cheesy. I think talking about believe in your dreams and follow your heart.
No, it's not cheesy.
It can be cheesy, I think, but when this is the thing I said. There was a person, I was like, I really like how cocky Tiffany is. I was like, because she's gritty. No, Jared's like, well, what's the difference between, because we're talking through what we want to talk about. He goes, what's the difference between this person who you don't like and Tiffany? Because I know there's another person I'm like, oh, they're arrogant. I don't like them. I don't think you're arrogant, by the way.
No.
But like, and I was like, and I thought about it. I was like, why do I like that Tiffany's cocky and this other person I think that are arrogant? And I was like, huh. And I was like, you know what it is? Tiffany, first of all, is through and like she's authentic and through. But I think the other thing is Tiffany is a hard worker and she's not entitled.
Yeah.
And I think like if you're trying to get into the luxury market and you're trying to up your game and level up, being entitled to me is like the people who are at the top, they're gatekeepers, by the way.
Yeah.
Like the high-end planners, like no one's going to let you in the door and into that club if you're entitled.
Yeah.
And you don't need to fake that part. You might need to kind of like, you might feel like you're faking your pricing. You might feel like you're faking your work and your work isn't there. I would say go for it, chase your dreams. But like,
It's not wrong to have swagger.
no.
And it's not wrong to know what you want and
Yeah.
how much you're worth.
Stand up for yourself,
You know what I mean?
say
Yeah.
no, all that stuff.
And you can do it in a nice way.
Yeah, you can
That's
be
the
nice.
thing.
Yeah.
That's the best part. You don't
Yep.
have to ever be rude to people. You don't have to be mean.
Yep. And it's not about being, and like the entitlement, I think, is the real
it's
issue.
just not the right attitude to have ever. I don't think with anything in life.
Yeah.
Because you always want to earn everything.
Yeah, I want to
And
work hard for it, and I want
and-
people to want me because they see
Yes.
that,
Yes.
not just because it was thrown into my lap or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I should.
You don't
deserve
just
it.
slap a price tag on your website and say like,
No.
this is who I am.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm going to earn it every
Yeah.
single step of the way.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
when you have confidence, I think it allows you
Yeah,
to
that's
be
what it is.
more yourself.
Yeah.
Like I know when I'm around like very talented artists, I tend to be like a little bit more reserved and I'm a pretty charismatic person,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I'm not worried. And I tend to like,
I'm not on their level.
I'm not on their level, and so I'm not going to interact with them. You don't really have that problem as much, where you just kind of go.
I'll ask
but I'll
anybody
be
for
like,
anything.
oh, this person, they're a busy person. Like they don't have time to like answer
Yeah.
my question. But when I'm feeling like confident and like, oh yeah, like I know who I am, I know what I'm doing, and I tend to just be more myself
Right.
and more of an approachable person, and just like ask good questions. And so yeah, I think
Having confidence, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. It allows you to be more like yourself, and if you're a good person, then it allows you to be more of a good person.
So I'll let you have the last word, and here's what I was gonna say. What would you say to someone, I know this is like cliched, but I do think it's a real thing, especially young women who are starting businesses, but I guess maybe anyone, but who is like starting out and they have a dream, and they know where they want to be. Kind of, what would you say to that person who's maybe Tiffany Vaughn of like, what, 6 years ago?
Yeah, like 6, 7. I've been doing photography longer, but yeah, the weddings. I would say it takes time. It does not come overnight. It won't come overnight. Like, just point blank, it's not. And don't settle. Like, if you know what you want, go get it. Like, you can do anything you want in this world. You just have to have a vision for it. If you don't have a vision, you're not going to go anywhere. But it takes time, and don't settle for just anything, Have a dream and actually pursue it. Put your words to action and go create, relationships and network with people and have great, friends in the industry and just try, put your foot out there. It's not going to be perfect in the beginning, and it's a ever
Gotta kiss a few frogs.
Journey. Yeah.
I love that. I think it's good. I wonder for you where you're thinking, I'm trying to find the right way to say it. Where do you think, or do you think there's any room for compromise in order to like get certain jobs and where do you think that line is of like, okay, I'll compromise here in order to maybe get to another spot?
Well, because I think that's
making sense?
Actually what Tiffany. The thing about Tiffany is she says all this, and that's what she thinks, but she's actually willing to do what it takes to get there.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like, I don't think you're saying don't shoot a wedding that's beneath you.
No. Yeah. It's working hard, maybe taking weddings that maybe not the perfect fit in the beginning, but get your foot in the door. You got to learn how to shoot a wedding and how to maneuver that. But keeping that dream and that vision at the forefront, because when I say don't settle, it's like you got to have an initial path that you want to walk down, initial vision. And if you let that go, then you let it go.
Totally.
You're not going to have what you want at the end of the day.
Have you seen the TED Talk on grit?
No, but I should watch
It's really good, and it talks about like the number one. They did like analysis of successful people, and they have like there's all levels of like talent and attractiveness, charisma, like that's all over the place with successful people. The thing that's really consistent is successful people have grit and tenacity.
You have to, or you get trampled on.
And
you just want to, I'm sure you guys can relate. There's been so many instances where I just wanted to I just can't do it. It's too much. But I think pushing through that and getting past that is what grows your character and your strength and your grit, and allows you to do what you want to do at the end of the day.
We have always felt like I'm not too good for any work, but I'm good enough to go for the next thing.
Right. And you got to keep, you have to keep climbing, I always say I'm happy. I'm always happy, but I'm always looking to go to the next level or the next place. And I think that with anything in life, you have to do that, or you kind of just stay where you are, which is fine. But for me personally, I want a journey that keeps growing and keeps progressing. And
totally,
I think you have to
human nature.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you have to balance gratitude.
Yeah.
Gratitude is huge. Everything you
have
get,
to be thankful for
you've got to be
everything.
thankful and grateful.
Absolutely.
Like even if a client gives you $2,000 and you're shooting inside of like some hotel in your hometown, that person, to them, their wedding day, they feel like a princess. Exactly. To them, it is a big deal. You're dealing with humans. Humans are the most important thing. But you're grateful for that opportunity, but you're hungry for the next one, and like you just want to keep growing. And so like I think like wanting to grow is a great goal because it'll force you to be a better person, a better artist, and create more value. But if you're like getting that wedding, and you're like, this isn't me. I'm a high end. I shouldn't like.
Yeah, you can
know
what
that's
you
a bad
want,
place to start.
But yeah, exactly. You have to. I'm thankful for every single person I have worked with, every single wedding and client. It's made me who I am. I don't regret anything. So you got to be thankful. At the end
when
of
I
the
think
day.
back on the memories, I looked at our
Everything.
first ever wedding, and I was like, this is terrible. Like it was not good. We did some good things, but it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And it wasn't luxurious.
Naturally,
it was like,
the progression, your first wedding to
but
to
in
that,
my
you know what I
head,
mean?
when I think about it, looking at it now, I'm like, oh, that's bad. But until I looked at it, I would think that was really great.
Right.
In my head, like the experience, I felt
Right.
like the same as the wedding I shoot now.
Yeah, because you're authentic to
Because I
yourself.
was really grateful for it. I thought it was really cool that we got to do it. And I'm like always just, so I think like being excited and being a person that just loves people and treats the human in front of you in the best possible way, the way you would want to be treated.
Right.
I think it has to be at the core, or you can become really cynical.
Yeah,
And-
rigid and just very like rough around the edges.
Yeah,
Not what we
totally.
want in this industry.
So, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys.
It was so much fun.
Tiffany, we'll have to. I want to have you on again where we can talk about art and talk about like diving into the artistic,
The creative
creative
process.
juices side of things, because I think that's something that you just talk about, not compromising in, like always, following your dreams and trying to produce work that you're proud of. You're someone that just stands out in my mind. So we'll have to have you on and talk
Love
through
to.
kind of that kind of stuff in the future. But yeah, thank you so much for
This was great.
Yeah,
you
hanging
guys
out.
I love working with you
Yeah.
guys and just having you as friends and colleagues. So it's always such a blessing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. So if you're listening to this, we really encourage you, give us a subscribe, rate us 5 stars. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're also up on YouTube, and you can check it out. Our YouTube channel has a bunch of other content, especially mainly targeted at videographers, even just learning and stuff like that. But we also have all our podcast episodes, so definitely give us click that little bell, subscribe.
Tiffany, where can people find you on the
They can
interweb?
find me on Instagram at Tiffany Vaughn Wed, WED. And that's where we post all of our wedding work. And then our website's on there, so you can check that out too.
Yes. Give her a sub. She's also amazing and deserves all your love.